What's up, everybody? My name's Colin. Welcome to 4 Ounce Insight. And Francis Ngannou is the biggest name in boxing. Tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that I'm wrong. He has done something truly spectacular. He is the lineal UFC heavyweight champion. And I am going to say he is the lineal heavyweight boxing champion of the world. He won that fight. Everybody knows he won that fight. Boxing guys know that he won that fight. Not daylight robbery. Okay, cards on the table. Not daylight robbery. Very close. But come on. We all knew. Look, let's be perfectly honest here. We all knew if this went to a scorecard, which it should never have done, Fury was going to win. The boxing community does not allow these things to happen. They don't like dramatic upsets, especially when there's lots of money. There was a lot of money around. You know, you do not want to give an underdog with, especially the odds they gave him. You know, the bookies didn't want it. The promoters didn't want it. This was all about building Fury into this megastar, which, to be fair, you know, he is. And then Francis was like, look at the state of the heavyweight division in boxing. A guy, an MMA guy, walks away from one of the biggest promotions in mixed martial arts, the UFC, to get into boxing, gives up his belt, goes away, hides, trains, walks straight in, fights the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, and beat him with basics, showed some holes in Fury's game. And if you want to know who really won, listen to Tyson Fury. Excuse. Sometimes we forget, like we do get into this boxing, MMA kind of them and us thing. This is combat sports, and we're talking about combat sports athletes. Yes, there are different skill sets. Yes, there are different rules and all of that other stuff. And yes, in essence, every athlete should lead the way in their own sport. So I wouldn't expect an MMA guy to go over to kickboxing, Muay Thai, go over to Thailand and hold his own or her own with a lot of those guys. Like, they will eventually. They need time to adapt and take on because the primary skill set is there. And it also depends on what type of fighter they are. That's the other thing people miss with mixed martial arts. They're not all the same. You know, they rely on different things. And because the skill set is so broad, you get real specialist bits. So, you know, you have different boxing styles for sure. But largely, you know, a punch is a punch is a punch. How you deliver that is really the kind of the puzzle that you're solving, and that's where you rely on certain attributes, you know, speed, footwork, and all of that other stuff. So this was two fighters, two combat athlete fighters, and that's the bit I never underestimated about Francis Ngannou. He seemed to have the more fighting spirit. He seemed to want to win that fight. He seemed to just do the basics well, frustrate Tyson, not engaging him when Tyson wanted him to. He did all of these basic things. And he's a bigger name than most of the top 10 of the heavyweights in boxing. And that is why boxing is in a mess. Not because of Tyson Fury. The other athletes need to pick up. Like, I don't know if this is true. I saw it on Instagram. It could have been an edited photo or something. But they're talking about the WBC ranking him in the top 10. Ngannou ranking him. He's 0-1, and they're going to rank him. That's how much he has just embarrassed the other heavyweights of the boxing division. What are you guys playing at? Like, from a purely boxing, he is the biggest name in boxing right now. Who's bigger? Because if you say Tyson Fury's name, whose name is right next to it now? Francis Ngannou. And the excuses from Fury, I mean, it was a little bit frustrating. I mean, he did give him some credit, but they were all backhanded compliments, you know. Yeah, I did get knocked down, but it was behind the head. It was a temple shot. It was a temple shot. It wasn't behind the head. Oh, I got a cut on my eyebrow. Was it a left hook or a headbutt? You threw an elbow. The boxing guy threw an elbow. Please don't tell me it was a wild punch and the elbow just went round. I've watched people throw elbows for a long time now. And I've seen boxers that catch people with elbows. Now, don't get me wrong, there'll be boxing coaches out there that tell you if you throw a hook or a big shot, keep your arm curved if you miss the punch. Let the elbow swing around, make a little contact, accidental. You change the arc of the shot. When you throw an elbow, you have to collapse the arm much earlier than a swing and a miss kind of thing. And it could have easily cut Ngannou. And here's the interesting thing. It's like some of that stuff might have, and this is no disrespect to you boxers at all, but that might have flustered you in a fight in the sense that you would have been aware that that was an illegal shot. Like you'd have caught it, you'd have felt the difference. Because Francis Ngannou is an MMA guy, he's used to feeling different textures and different power. So he is not constantly getting hit with a glove. So when he gets hit with an elbow, it's just an elbow, right? His brain isn't going to interpret, oh, okay, you know, big padded glove. Oh, elbow, foul ref. He's just going to keep fighting because that's what he's always done. His instincts will be to keep going. The fact that the shot felt different or it felt like a bone rather than a glove, it's not going to faze him. And it didn't. Like those kind of tricks that would get in fighters' heads, give him a little short elbow and rock him and get the boxer, frustrated and calling for fouls and becoming reckless. We've seen these. These are like the classic old-timey boxing tricks, like weighing on your opponent every time you get in a clinch, pull them down, drain their energy. No good against someone that knows how to wrestle, though. No good against someone that, even if they haven't trained it in a long time, the memory of those actions, so mechanically he would, but also his body would be able to deal with it. It's not going to tax that energy system in the same way it might tax other fighters. What other excuses did he come up with? Oh, ring rust. When was the last time Francis Ngannou had a fight? Right, I mean, it was just excuses. Look, Fury didn't look good, but Francis has to take credit for a lot of that. You know, he was patient. He didn't rush in. There was a couple of reckless moments in there. Superman punch. That would have been a fun one if it had connected. I would love to have seen what the commentators would have made of that if he'd have knocked him out with a Superman punch. A kickboxing technique, no less. But it's clear that Ngannou won, right? No, and largely that's irrelevant. Like, even though he lost the fight, and the judges say he's lost the fight, his pro record will say he's lost the fight, he definitely has not lost. He definitely... Imagine you're Dana White right now. Dana White, UFC president, not allowing Ngannou to go into boxing to protect his brand. Dude, your brand would have been fine. Yeah, but granted, you probably couldn't have given him the 2 years off to get him sharp. So, ready for this boxing match. So I appreciate it. And obviously he doesn't want all his fights going into boxing. But nevertheless, PFL, what an organisation for spotting this potential. And Francis is even talking about doing MMA and boxing simultaneously because, let's face it, his love is boxing. You can see it, the draw, it's new, it's shiny, and it's something he's thought about his whole life since he was, a young man in Africa digging in sand mines. What a story that is. They'll make a film one day. Who the hell would you get to play Francis Ngannou? Better be a big dude. Went off on a tangent, completely lost my train of thought. PFL, fighting two sports. If this was the UFC, I don't think that would happen. And Francis Ngannou, you can see he wants to box now, potentially being ranked the biggest name in boxing right now. And, there's a ton of money to be made. Now, if you're going to do both, PFL is probably the better organisation to do it. One, they're very open in their contracts. Two, they've been incredibly generous to him. Three, they understand that this is almost an equal partnership here. They're getting a lot of shine off of Ngannou. He's doing a lot for their sport. Almost Conor McGregor-esque for UFC, how he exploded it. PFL, obviously a bit of a smaller organisation, different format. But they are definitely going to see the benefit once he starts fighting in MMA. And the reason why you could probably do it better, one, like I said, they're very open, they're very generous, very reasonable, it seems. And two, the quality of the PFL fighters is not the same as the UFC fighters. And that, honestly, that's no disrespect to those guys. I don't want to be rude to them. But if you match that top 10 heavyweights, UFC heavyweights up against the top 10 of the PFL, I think it's almost a clean sweep. It's almost a clean sweep. So for Francis, he could come in, and I don't want to say easy fights because there are definitely no easy fights. And yeah, he's risking a lot, but I definitely think he could probably do a few fights in both over the next 2-3 years and hold a reasonable level in both sports. Now, Big John Fury. What does he, how can, he always hypes his boys up. For me, both of these boys just taken a beating in recent times. And I think two things are going to happen, right? Francis Ngannou is going to have shaken up the heavyweight boxing scene. These heavyweight boxers are going to pull their big fat thumbs out of their backsides because there are some quality fighters there and they got some amazing talent. But it might be the catalyst. Now, good friend of mine, Old Lion, Box Talk. You may have seen some videos we've done together. They're in my list and his list. Go check out his channel for This Week in Boxing. Not because I'm a good mate and because I want us to, point in each other's direction. I want you to see him moan and bitch and cry about the boxing scene. Ryan, I'm sorry. I watch half your views of me laughing. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I'll put a link in the description bit below because the boxing fans, some of them have taken it differently. For me, Ngannou surpassed all expectations from all fronts. Has it ruined boxing forever? Which is what Mr. Old Lion had messaged me. He was devastated. Could have hurt boxing. It hasn't hurt boxing. It's definitely hurt Tyson Fury. His reputation now is damaged. It has to be. He hasn't had a solid fight since Deontay Wilder. Really, like a real dangerous fighter. Ngannou could deal with his power. Ngannou has power, and really now I think there's some people that can see him as beatable, right? But on the flip side, Tyson Fury might just do what he does and have another resurrection and carry on being, well, Tyson Fury. Is this MMA's win? I don't think so. I think the MMA community as fans, look, we've only ever been frustrated that you drag old wrestlers and fighters over their heel, people whose primary skill set not have had enough time to change, blah, blah, blah. We've had a lot of MMA guys rush into boxing to make a few quid, but ultimately not look very good. It was nice to see someone in their physical prime challenge. It was good, but for me, it doesn't detract from boxing, and it definitely doesn't enhance MMA. What it does do is detract from Tyson Fury and enhance Francis Ngannou, and this is all him. He's like at the beginning of this, when I first heard about it, I was very much crossovers, and over time I've stopped seeing this as boxing and MMA. This was just Francis Ngannou's life story. This was about him, not about the sports, and he's done fantastically well. Lots of other people, all the stories that spin off of it, he's the main character in this. This is a Rocky story. Did he win the fight? No. Was he plucked off of a sheet? Almost, you know, like Tyson Fury sitting there, oh, give me that guy. Like it's almost Rocky-esque. And that's what it should be revered at, as a great story of a combat athlete. I can't get my words out. And I think we're gonna see more of him in the boxing community. We're gonna see him box more. There'll be more people that'll be able to tear him down at some stage. But hats off to you, sir. You are the biggest name in boxing, without a doubt. That belt should have been wrapped around your waist. And, you know, this unfortunately is why. This example of a fight, although it wasn't that bad, like I said, it wasn't an absolute robbery. This was a close fight, and there was a lot of inactivity, which makes it hard to score. But this is why I don't like boxing. Because I would have bet my house, my car, and probably even my kids on, if this had gone to a scorecard, there was zero chance Francis would have won it, even if he'd have knocked him down in every single round. Because that's boxing, folks. And that's why you lose people. And that's why, for me, MMA, Thai boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, all of these other sports, they're more interesting to me. Yeah, you do get some crazy judging decisions. You can't say the UFC isn't a little bit, you know. Sometimes, yeah, that steroid result doesn't quite matter. It's only a picogram. They make exceptions and they bend the rules, no doubt. But boxing just is rare. You just get to talk about the fighters because the whole industry is bad. And the promoters are as big as the boxers. They're not heads of organizations. They're stars of themselves. So they're the reasons. I think even LeBron, I think I saw in Old Lions video that LeBron James had tweeted something along the lines of, this is why I don't like boxing. And that's, if I'm honest, it's like when superstars do that hurts the sport a little bit. Equally, all press is good press, right? And if LeBron is tweeting about that fight, Francis Ngannou is the biggest name in boxing. Change my mind, people. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. There are lots of people. Go watch Old Lion just to watch him squirm. It's hilarious. But there's a wealth of videos out there. Everyone breaking down fights. Everyone looking at this. But I think we all need to agree. This was a win for just one man. Not for any sport. Not for any belt. It was just an incredible story that ended in an incredible fashion. And we're all excited to know what the next couple of chapters are. Well done, Francis. That's my 4 ounce insight. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And I'll be very happy not to be doing any videos about boxing anytime soon. And I'll be back on YouTube in no time at all. It's like you won't even have a chance to miss me. Until next time, take care.